Bruiser, I'm wondering, with the win over Auburn, how hopeful are you guys about momentum being created and built upon with that?
Uh, I actually thought we had some momentum coming from the Tennessee game. So we didn't finish it well, but I thought we played better. We did a lot of things that we've been discussing. So I think the guys played a little bit, although we had our problems at the end of the game. I think our guys didn't think we were going to lose. They thought we were going to win. So we made some plays at the end of that game that helped us pull out the victory.
Larry Vaught.
Bruiser, just wondering, the offense obviously seems to be picking up. When you make shots, it's a lot easier. On the flip side, for the first time, you've given up 80 points, 3 straight games, partly due to maybe the concentration on trying to get the offense better. And what's been going on? You think that the defense has given up a few more points than what it had been?
Playing faster, so a lot more possessions in the games. So, both teams get a lot more possessions. We were playing a lot slower. So now we're playing a little faster. We're getting a little bit more in transition. So you also let the other team get more in transition. So it's just a matter of the speed of the game and how we've been playing offensively. So the games are a little bit higher, scoring a little bit higher for both teams because there are way more possessions in the games the way we've been playing.
John Clay.
Bruiser, what's the biggest difference you see in Vanderbilt from when you guys played them earlier in the year? And what kind of job do you think Coach Stackhouse is doing there?
One, they play really hard. I know they haven't had great results, but those guys really play hard. Some of the other guys, other than Pippen, have been stepping up a little bit. Disu, he had a good game against us. He's been playing better. Maxwell Evans played really well against us. He's been playing pretty good for him. Number 4, Jonathan Jordan Wright, I think his name is. He's actually played a lot better for him. So they've played a lot of close games. Their games a little bit remind me of some of the games that we've played. They've gotten out ahead. They just haven't been able to close it out at the end. But one thing I will say, when you watch them on film, you're gonna get good effort from them. I think that shows you that they're still engaged with their coach because you know they're really playing hard.
Jerry Tipton.
He's on mute.
There we go. You mentioned Pippen. How what makes him effective? What kind of a challenge is he?
He's a very similar challenge, very similar to Cooper. I think he's a little bit more of a scorer, where I think Cooper's more of a passer. He's a better finisher around the rim. He shoots it better. But I think he likes to pass. I think he likes to get in the lane. I think he likes to pass the ball and get his guys involved. Cooper probably is a lot better passer than him, but I think you have the same type of challenges. They get into the lane. I just think Pippins is a little better scorer, but they can control the game by what they're scoring and by their passing. So I think we have the same, very similar challenges than we have with Auburn with Cooper.
And I wondered if I could ask you about Davion. He made the big shot against Auburn. How does he have a quality for that? You know what I mean? Does he have a knack for you guys want the ball in his hands in those kind of situations?
Well, he's open. So he was open in those situations. He was open to play before he didn't shoot it. And Cal was screaming at him on the bench when we ran the play again to shoot the ball. So Cal's been big on that with these guys. When the opportunity is there, you got to take advantage of it. That's been one of our problems, I think, at the end of ball games is we've been tentative. You can't be afraid to stick you can't just stick your toe in the water. You got to jump into the pool sometimes. And I think, after that the last trip down, which he turned it over and they tied it up, Cal was screaming at him to shoot the ball. We went right back to him again and he knocked it down.
Larry Vaught.
Bruiser, just was curious, when you look at recruiting, it seems like recruits still feel just as good about this program and still fully engaged. Do they understand better what maybe this year's like than say maybe what fans might or even media members might?
Why wouldn't they? That's what my thing. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they feel good? You see the results they've had with the players. I mean, teams go through stuff like this sometimes. This is my first year at Kentucky. Believe me, I didn't think it was going to be like this, but people understand what Coach Cal has done, what type of coach he is, what type of program this is. I mean, this is a story of the program there is in college basketball. So you have a little bit of hiccup when you're having a hiccup for a whole year. I mean, this is, everybody on this Zoom knows 2020, 2021 has not been regular. So, but I mean, all you got to do is just look at the history of it. And not only that, too, what Coach Cal has done in terms of recruiting, how he's developed his players. I know we're having a tough season, but anybody that looks at that and say this thing is going to continue, they're out of their minds. So I think the kids understand that, and they love Kentucky basketball. I think that's why we're still pretty good with the recruits.
John Hale.
Bruiser, you talk about the history there. Cal's got a pretty good track record of even taking teams that have struggled, maybe not to this extent, but peaking them at the end of the year, winning the SEC tournament, those things. Is that the kind of thing that can add confidence to this group, or because they're different teams, different players, different circumstances, does that kind of thing not matter at all?
No, I mean, I think you always look for, you talk about a guy who was a mid-major coach for a long time. That weekend at the end of the year was very important to you. Because a lot of times you weren't getting an at-large bid. So I think that's what all coaches try to say. Hey, let's finish it off by going winning the conference tournament. Let's be playing our best basketball at the end of the year. I can say honestly, I think we're starting to do that. We're playing our best basketball at the end of the season. Has it been tough? Yeah, we've had some tough sledding, but I just think that we've continued to get better. So hopefully we can continue to keep riding this, keep playing better the last couple of weeks of the season, and be going into that conference tournament with some confidence.
Kent Spencer.
Bruiser, I mean, obviously this has been such a weird year with COVID and everything. In a week where you guys are already in Nashville and you guys are after the game, we're going to go to Knoxville for that game this weekend. Do you anticipate like it's just another kind of thing that your players can kind of roll with the punches just because of what they've already had to deal with?
I think so. I mean, staying on the road for a week is not that hard. As long as you got a chance to get your practice times. These kids today, it's not like the old days where you went outside. These kids today, they plug up stuff on their TV. They can entertain themselves, believe me, for hours on end without being outside. So, but definitely, I mean, it's tough. We had to leave. It was a last minute thing, which we had to get everybody together and go. But it was a smart thing to do from, looking at the weather and everything. But I think it's fine. We had good practice yesterday, so we got to continue to keep focusing and doing that. And we play tomorrow.
Okay, we'll do one last one with John Wong, and then that's it.
Hey, Bruiser, it's not just your team that has been inconsistent this year. It seems like everybody has had their ups and downs. You take Missouri, Tennessee, on one hand, it seems like they're world beaters. On the other hand, it seems like they stink up the joint. How difficult and challenging has that made scouting these teams?
For me, it's a little bit different because this is my first year being in the conference. I think when you're in the conference, like Cal and Tony and Joel, and those guys they understand what those guys are trying to accomplish. They've played against these coaches a lot of times. But I mean, it's one of those years. I think one of the biggest things that those have said is there are no fans. You know what I mean? So that makes a huge difference in some of these games when you go in some of these buildings and it's going crazy in the way kids play. So now you're coming in, it's a free mind. Nobody's screaming at you. Nobody's screaming at the referees. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big reason why people have gone in and been able to win games and lose games where people are a little surprised. They got to do with the fans in the buildings that you're going in. And without them having that, it's a little bit easier to play in those types of games. That part of the pressure is not there anymore. So, but I think that's been the reason why. Plus, I think this league is very even in a lot of ways. The older teams in the league have been very successful. The younger teams have struggled. So I think that's one of the things you see within the league.